right effort. You could say right effort is the antidote to unwise effort, to all of the stress and all of the added struggles that come with being human. It is indeed the art of the practice. It speaks to how we meditate, how we gather the energy, how we steer it and use the energies of the body, the heart, and the mind to move it in the direction toward less suffering and more ease of well-being. In other words, there are many meditative moves that fall under right effort. And as Bill was saying, working with upsetting, distressing, and difficult mind states can be quite challenging for us both on and off the cushion. So we want to learn a lot of different meditative moves to work with these states, because they're the ones that are the greatest challenge to us for destabilizing us in daily life. Gratefully, mindfulness meditation practice teaches us to notice unskillful mind states, and it teaches us to use a variety of meditative practices to release, to contain, to hold, soothe, stay curious, investigate, and discern what's going on. All of these use our energy wisely, skillfully, with their orientation of non-harm. Let's keep it really simple though. Let's start with practicing on the cushion, which is actually much easier, a lot less distraction and a little bit more focus than in daily life. Think of being on the cushion as like a little petri dish, a little microcosm of experience that you get to practice with. And let's work with the first order of business, which is noticing what's going on, noticing the difficult mind states. That said, even on the cushion, these difficult mind states will knock us around. Think about it. When you're angry, how easy is it for you to notice and let it go, or to remind yourself to hold it kindly, or to notice the clenched jaw? How does that change when you're off the cushion, right? Whew, it all happens so quickly. Or when we're tired, how quickly do you notice that when you're on the cushion? When you've already nodded off a few times, right? And what do you do when you notice? Do you have a cup of coffee before you sit down? Do you eat something sugary? Do you talk nicely to yourself when you notice yourself slumping over on the cushion? How do you raise the energy? And how do you do that when you're off the cushion? Do you talk nicely to yourself or even heed the signs and put yourself to bed? Right? How about when we're antsy, pushy, striving? How do we calm down? How do we quiet the nervous system and settle back down? How do we do that when we're in line at the grocery store? How do we cool our heels? It's not easy to see what's really going on inside. And it's really not easy to feel what's going on inside, as some of you spoke about yesterday. The mind runs around and we feel exhausted, discouraged, upset, right? Okay, so I have one important guideline that I'm going to encourage all the way through in your practice, which is to stay safe. Now that may seem easy, but no, it's actually a work to learn how to stay safe, to learn how to play within our game, to learn to meet ourselves where we are and to work with the difficult emotions as best as we can. So as best as possible, learning how to stay safe means learning how to stay grounded, how to come back when we've gone away, come back into the present moment and ground in the present moment as quickly as possible in a body breathing. This will keep us safe. In the here now, this is where we can take care of ourselves. We can put the oxygen mask on ourselves. We can slow down our breathing. We can speed it up to wake us up. We can begin to regulate our emotions with our breathing and with terra firma underneath us. Really good to know that, because most of the time we're living in our heads and we're living out of our heads. We're ungrounded. The Buddha recommended that we use the foundation of the body which includes breathing, I might add, as a support for steadying attention, for calming the nervous system, so that we may look more closely. Use the body making contact with the surface that it's on. It's always on a surface. Use that physical sensation to support staying grounded in the present moment. And breathe. That's the second piece that's really important. Breathing. Breathing is like the most immediate direct communication between the mind and the body. It regulates the central nervous system, and it is very much affected by how we are holding our bodies, our physical posture, and by the patterns of tightness that our bodies are carrying. So, we begin to work with this, but breathing becomes very important. If I'm slumped over like this, if I'm hunched over like this, my whole chest is collapsed. That means I have actually set the stage to be more anxious, be more twizzled out. If I just even open up my chest and take a big breath, now I've just created a little physical space to let some of that rattle through. Okay? Very important. The most important thing is learning how to stay grounded. Okay. Now, the next move with learning how to work with difficult mind states is actually noticing what is happening. Noticing what's happening and coming out of its grip. So we notice, name, and come back to the holding environment. Noticing and naming what is happening. Say it out loud to yourself so you don't get lost. I'm angry. Oh, this is anxiety. Anxiousness is present. One word, just to say, this is what's happening in here. Clarify the flavor of the energetic push inside. Put a big fat mindfulness star around that word. That's what I like to do. I like to imagine putting a big mindfulness star around if I notice that I'm angry or if I'm upset or I'm tired, because that noticing is hard earned. So quickly we see a lot of things, but to actually land on I am upset. Upset feels like this, is something different. That's a new move. Okay? So say it out loud to yourself. Angry, upset, anxious. Now take a breath. And with that breath, draw the attention back inside the body. Now bring that breath, tether that breath all the way and attention all the way down to the ground. Bring it all the way down to the ground. So we tether the breath and the body to the ground. And now we begin to feel back into this space, and we can make it feel more holding. We can have it go from this to slowly soften it to feel more holding, because we've gotten some ground and we have our breath, and now we can regulate. Before we can do anything fancy, before we can hold an emotion, before we can feel an emotion, we have to see it. We have to see it long enough that we can name it. Again, just right now, you're sitting here listening to me and looking out at me. You can see me. You can see what's going on in your room. You might be able to look outside. But to land on how does it feel in here? It's a specific move. Notice. Once we notice what we're working with, now we are in relationship with it. We've changed the dynamic already. That one skill has already done something. And this can seem so rudimentary, but it's not. It's foundational. Your practice will only grow to the degree to which your foundation can support it. I'll say that again. Your practice will only grow to the degree to which your foundation will support it. So this may seem rudimentary, but this is also exercising wise effort and wise attention to come out of the disturbance, to unbind from it, and to come back into the holding environment. Okay. So how do we actually reconstitute the holding environment? We notice a name, we take a breath, we come back in. Now what? I'm in here. I'm all still twizzled up. What do I do? Feel the body. What posture is the body in right now? Just feel it. Notice it. How might you help it to feel a little bit more supportive and steady? Okay. Next, feel breathing. You've just taken a big inhalation. You brought the attention back in. Now we're just sort of going to notice breathing. What does breathing feel like? Can we support breathing to feel a little bit more comfortable? Maybe we might take a bigger inhalation to open up inside, create a little bit more room in there. And then really focus on the settling down at the end of the exhalation. So we really let the body come in for a landing, and breathing can begin to relax a little bit. Then we might notice now we turn to, what does the inner atmosphere feel like? This is the domain of the heart. What does that feel like? Does it feel kind of tight in there, just overall tight in there? How might we have that atmosphere feel a little bit more comfortable? Maybe we might physically move that body around just to help it, again, to feel a little bit more comfortable. And then how's the mind doing? Well, maybe the mind is still we can feel the electricity from all of those thoughts, right? We notice that. Well, how might we begin to just gently keep orienting the attention on the body, breathing, feeling comfortable. So we're giving attention and the mind something useful to focus upon. Now we're beginning to slowly gather the energies back together again into something that feels more welcoming and holding and stable and comfortable. We catch our breath here. We catch our breath here as we begin to reestablish the holding environment. And we do this because this is our protection. This is the platform. This is the foundation from which we begin to make a relationship with these difficult emotions. But first we have to see it. And once we see it, we want to stabilize as quickly as possible. Because these big emotions are very unwieldy and they're really quite destabilizing. So here's the thing, is that you are going to get ungrounded. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to find yourself in the middle of a storm, and what do? The moment you notice yourself in the storm, as quickly as you can notice yourself, name it. Name it that you're in overwhelm, that you've just been lost. As quickly as possible, name it, come on back in here and restore the holding environment. Only open yourself and stay connected to the degree that you can stay steady. This is for your welfare. It's for your protection. We're going to get knocked around a lot. It's a lawful unfolding. Only open to the degree that you can stay steady on the ground in a body, breathing. Reconstitute the holding environment as many times as possible. Notice when you get hijacked. Notice when you get overwhelmed. As quickly as possible, come back. That's our job. That's our job as a first move for working with difficult mind states. This is good practice for us. This is the first order of business for us to learn how to weather the storms, is to notice what storm we're in.